Thank you, Travis, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Regional News. Here is where we recap the weekend's activities and bring you up to date with news around the Caribbean. Now, we turn our attention to Trinidad and Tobago, where officers of the Northeastern Division Task Force arrested 8 people, including 2 women and 2 Venezuelan men, who were involved in a bloody supermarket robbery that ended in murder on Sunday. The 8 were held at the Happiness supermarket located at the corner of Eastern Main Road and 6th Avenue, Barataria. According to police, around 4 a.m., 6 men and 2 women armed with knives and cutlasses entered the supermarket. They went to the upper floor of the building, where the owner and 8 employees, all Chinese nationals, were asleep. The suspects attempted to rob the occupants, but the victims fought back. Several persons were stabbed and chopped. Police responded within minutes and found the suspects inside. One of the Chinese nationals suffered serious injuries and was taken to the hospital where he died. Some of the suspects were also injured. Nothing was stolen from the supermarket. Police are also checking the legal status of the 2 Venezuelans. And still in Trinidad and Tobago, the number of COVID-19 positive cases in the island now stands at more than 1,031. Among these patients, the local media was told, is a 10-month-old baby girl. The child was swabbed earlier this month after her mother tested positive for the deadly virus. Her father, 7-year-old sister, and 3 other family members have since tested positive. The Freeport family was taken to the Couva hospital. The local media was told that 5 members of the family, including the little girl, have been taken to a step-down facility awaiting further testing. The mother, who is employed at a private medical facility, began showing symptoms of the virus. She was tested and advised to quarantine at her home. The baby, who began experiencing fever and nasal congestion, was tested and was confirmed to be positive. Approximately 600 COVID-19 samples awaiting testing are expected to be clear in the next 24 to 48 hours. The samples were transferred to a private lab for testing after the country's testing capacity was recently overwhelmed by the rapidly increasing numbers. This is according to Dr. Naresh Nandram, Principal Medical Officer in Epidemiology at the Ministry of Health, who addressed the backlog in testing and reporting at a virtual media conference on Saturday. And finally, in Jamaica, the resumption of schools has been pushed back to October 5 amid a worsening spike in coronavirus cases in Jamaica. Schools were closed on March 10 and were expected to resume face-to-face classes on September 7. In a press statement issued yesterday, the ministry cited unforeseen challenges for the reopening of schools, but that was likely linked to the heightened concern on Thursday with 98 new infections, a record one-day jump on the island. Up to Thursday, there were 1,290 confirmed COVID-19 cases. This disclosure follows Education Minister Carl Samuda's declaration on Wednesday that the 2020-2021 academic year was on track unless there was a significant uptick in COVID-19 cases. And I quote, "The only thing that would cause delay of school is if we continue to have unusual spikes," end of quote, Samuda told journalists following his address at the 56th annual conference of the Jamaica Teachers Association in Montego Bay, St. James. Meanwhile, the ministry says it still intends to press ahead with its blended approach model, which involves face-to-face classes, learning, and online and televised learning. The ministry said between now and September, the ministry will finalize distribution of tablets to teachers and students at the primary level and complete the procurement of laptops for students on the government's path welfare for grades 10 to 13. The ministry said it would also activate the Google Suite learning management system for all schools. Training will also be provided. Emotional and other support will be provided for students, teachers, and parents, and printed learning kits will be distributed. And that is it for our region news this evening, and I continue to urge our viewers to stay indoors, wear those masks, use those hand sanitizers, and continue practicing social distancing. Back to you, Travis.